The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to talk about species that only appeared in one episode that we may have liked to have seen in more.
Yes.
We've each written a list of 3, and we're going to go down those lists, and we haven't looked at our lists, at each other's lists.
No, I've looked at mine though.
Oh yeah, I've looked at mine too. And we'll go down the list and see where we converge. If we converge at all, and we came up with 6 different ones.
And if we think the other person has written down things that we never wanted to see again.
And this is out of all of Star Trek.
Yes.
Right.
Although I must confess, all 3 of mine are TNG.
Oh really?
Next gen, all the way.
Mine are not. Mine are not.
I tried, but you know, TNG just came up with some really good species.
All right, here we go. Sarah, what is your number 3?
My number 3, the Sheliak.
Really?
Yeah, I love the episode.
Ensigns of Command.
Ensigns of Command, and just such a cool idea. They were just barely, kind of, almost, but not quite humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, I don't know, they were just complicated, and it's really cool when you can get a one-shot race that
I didn't even think of that.
You're
That's
left
cool.
wanting more of.
Mm-hmm. They reminded me when we first saw them a little bit of the Tholians.
I could see that.
Just a
little bit.
Just a little bit. Of course, the first time we
And
saw the Tholians, we didn't expect that's what they actually look like.
Right.
And then Enterprise messed with that, but
Yeah, and you have almost as much mystery surrounding them.
Oh,
although
yeah,
you actually
absolutely.
get dialogue with these guys as opposed to, you know, TOS Tholians.
Right.
So.
But yeah, the Sheliak were really they were kind of. They were kind of scary, and it was sort of like you know, we'll make a, if I remember right, because it's been a while since I've seen that, but if I remember right, they were sort of like, we'll make a treaty with you, but we never want to hear from you again.
Pretty much. Well,
and
that was the whole thing.
if you even talk to us, we'll consider destroying you. And so it was like if you deviate from that treaty in the slightest, we will kill you.
Well, they were pretty much the consummate lawyers.
Yeah.
Where they wrote this treaty, and it was like millions of pages long. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, but it was really long.
It was really long, and they followed it exactly. And so Picard had to go through and use all of his diplomat skills, which is what he's so cool for in that series, and find a loophole to get the colonists
and
off the planet.
I could see a whole episode about the Sheliak, because that episode really wasn't about the Sheliak.
No, it was really about...
That was kind of more of the B story, really.
Yeah, well, it was kind of... I guess Data had to help the colonists off the planet.
Right.
Before the Sheliak just...
It was one of those species that could have easily been in the background, and it was nice that they showed them to us. Yeah. But then, you know, it would have been cool to see them again.
Yeah.
My number 3 is the Tac Tac.
I almost wrote them down.
Yeah?
I did, and then, I don't know.
So that's...
Janeway just had such a bad first impression with them that...
Yeah, but that's kind of why I wanted to see them again.
Okay.
But, you know, the Tac Tac, so that was Voyager, and that was... Macrocosm, thank you, yeah. They're barely even in it, but they're such an interesting species. And in our club, that's one of those species that pops up a lot in conversation. I don't know why, but we all found them fascinating.
Well,
and they're in maybe a
sign
total...
language sort of...
Yeah, right, they've got... Well, and I also thought their prosthetics were cool. You know, it's that species that's got the... And there were a couple after that did that too, but there was this giant ridge that went straight down the face, and I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it wasn't just your normal bumps or...
Yeah, it looked
spots.
cool. And then, like, they spoke... But then they also had sign language, and that all went in together, and body language, too.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen an episode about them. They were in maybe a total of 10 minutes in that whole episode. Yeah. And they weren't even a B story. I mean, they were just there. And like we met them at the beginning, and in kind of in one of those silly teaser kind of things. But what helped set Macrocosm apart from those kind of episodes was that they popped up again at the end and kind of helped save the day. Yeah. And I love that. And it just seemed like they were setting them up to do something with them. I mean, you take a species like the Tac Tac, infinitely cooler than the Kazon, which were in like multiple episodes.
That's not hard.
And so you know, then there were other species like that in Voyager too that we had to see over and over again, and we didn't like them. But then there were other ones that they didn't use nearly enough.
Yeah. Although you know, I was just thinking that I think the follow up to that episode, Janeway's second encounter with the Tac Tac, was kind of Archer going down to that planet with Porthos.
Because that species was kind of like the Tac Tac.
Yeah, where they were just easily offended by something small, which Archer shouldn't have done anyway. Yeah, Bring Porthos down to an alien planet.
Bring Porthos anywhere off ship. Yeah. What's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2. Speaking of cool language species.
Temerians.
Temerians.
I wrote them down, but I ended up going for Tac Tac instead.
Yeah. Temerians. Really cool. And now that the Federation knows about them and can communicate somewhat with them. We should have.
Those are those guys that speak in metaphors.
Yeah, Darmok and Jalad at
Tanagra.
Yeah.
Was it something with arms wide open?
Yeah.
Or with arms wide open? No, with arms open. And then the other one was with arms closed. I don't remember how it went anymore.
Yeah,
but
that was a good episode.
Darmok, really cool episode. Yeah. Yeah, and it gave us the Picard away team jacket.
Yeah, that's true. First appearance of the away team jacket.
My number 2 is whatever that species was from Conspiracy. I don't think they had a name.
No,
I don't think they're ever named. Now that species has become notorious for they were supposed to be the Borg. That was the species that was supposed to be what the Borg eventually turned into.
And that was my number 1, actually.
Oh, really?
I really wanted to see those guys again.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're not the Borg. They're very different from the Borg.
Yeah.
And
they're kind of scarier.
And what happened was they came up with these guys all the way in season 1, and I think the idea was that they wanted the Borg, what would later become the Borg, to be like this big creepy insectoid species, similar to what the insectoid Xindi were later.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have the money to do it, so they did these guys in Conspiracy in a similar fashion. And then later they did the Borg. But these guys from Conspiracy, I mean, they were they those were the guys who could enter a person through the mouth and then control them. And, that was good stuff. They were cool, and and they made this big deal out of they're out there somewhere and they're coming back. And of course they never did because they did the Borg instead.
Yeah, they should have, though. That was my number 1.
So that was your number 1?
Yeah. So you get to go again.
All right, yeah.
You stole mine.
My number 1 is the Horta.
I almost wrote them. I thought of them. I thought the Horta was
cool.
The
Horta was a cool species, and I don't mean I would have liked to have seen them again in TOS. I would have liked to see them again in TNG or DS9.
Yeah. And doing more than, scooting around on the floor.
Right, well, they were this telepathic species. They were an intelligent species. We could have done things with them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what, but, I mean, we could have done things with them.
Yeah.
What are some other ones you wrote down?
Well, I wrote down the Tac-Tac.
Other things you thought of.
You actually had a couple that I thought about. But
I wrote down the Voth, maybe, but wasn't, I don't know. I'm not sure what you do with them again.
I expected you to say the Krenim.
The Krenim, yeah.
From Year of Hell.
I didn't even think of the Krenim, but honestly, I wouldn't have put that in the list if I thought of it.
Really?
Yeah, because once you've done a species that can mess with time travel like that, why would you do them again? Because the thing is, the Krenim, well, first of all, they were mentioned in an episode before they showed up. But you're right, they were a one-shot. The thing with the Krenim is, the whole species as a whole was kind of lame. They really weren't that interesting of a species. It was just Anorax. So maybe I would have liked Anorax to have appeared again.
Yeah.
But if you were going to bring back Anorax, being a villain from an episode that never actually happened, you might as well just make that episode an episode that happened. Because what's the point of having a recurring villain from something that never happened? Although we kind of saw that with Sela. I mean, it's something that came out of something that never actually happened.
Yeah.
And then we saw, but that's still kind of a different case.
So maybe we meet Anorax's wife.
Or something, but you're right. Anorax could have been a cool recurring villain, and we talked about this. I think later we may even do another one of these where we'll do a list of 3 characters that appeared once that we would have liked to have seen again. That's easier for me actually. There's a number of them.
And another one I wrote down, the Gorn.
The Gorn, yeah.
I mean, we saw him in Arena, and then he wouldn't count for this list.
He came
back in
Enterprise. He
got
got a cameo in Enterprise. I mean, the Gorn got a cameo in Enterprise.
Universe.
But I always wanted the Gorn to become a major player race.
Yeah, especially since we had
TNG would have been a really great place for the Gorn.
Yeah, especially since we could have done more than just the green suit with diamond eyes.
I wrote down the Binars. I don't know if I would have wanted to see the Binars again, but a lot of people have talked about them as being a species they would have liked to have seen again.
Yeah.
Maybe later in TNG, when TNG was less silly, you could have done them in a less silly way, and they might have been interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if you thought of anything we didn't think of, please put that in the comments below. Also, let us know if there's any ideas you have for future discussions we might have, or episodes you'd like us to review. Thanks a lot for watching Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And we'll see you next time.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.